I'm going to show you how to make the sauce for the grandma's pie. So you get a can of diced tomatoes. So yeah, they're pretty small. They're diced pretty small, but what I still like to do, I wash my hands pretty well. I like to just crush them more to get them even smaller. You don't have to do this. You can leave the tomatoes in larger chunks, but this is kind of what I like to do. So once you get them to where you want them, you add some olive oil. Some salt. You want to add a decent amount of salt to this, or else it's kind of bland. Add black pepper, decent amount. I like to add just a little bit of crushed red. Garlic powder.
Whoa.
Italian seasoning. And I usually just take the caps off these things and just pour a decent amount in there. And then also get some garlic. If you're just using one small can like this, like the 14.5 ounce can, I usually use like 2 or 3 cloves of garlic, depending on how small or big the cloves are. You just chop them up pretty small, and add them right in. And then I usually get like one bunch of basil. This is from the garden, and you don't want it too fine, but you just go one pass with a knife. And that should be good. Add all that in. Just take a spoon and mix all your ingredients up. And I'm telling you, if you put this on a pizza, it is really, really flavorful. Like, this is probably one of my favorites and Katie's favorites. So I'll show you how to make the pizza next. Alright, next step is to get the olive oil like seasoning mix. You're basically going to make this olive oil mix, season your pan with it. You'll roll out the dough, and then you'll put the dough on top of that olive oil, garlic seasoning, and it'll bake on top of that, making the bottom of the grandma's pie almost like a garlic bread. It's really, really good. So the first part is just to get, you don't need a lot. It depends on how many pies you're making, but you really just need, I don't know, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Get 2 more cloves of garlic. Just chop those nice and small. Throw them in. And this is really similar to the sauce we just made. You put some black pepper in there. Some black pepper, some salt. Again, a little bit of crushed red, or more if you want. Let's see if there's any garlic powder left in here. I always like to put just a little bit of extra garlic powder, even on top of the fresh garlic. Italian seasoning. And that's about it. You just mix that up really well, and it should look something like that. You can use the same mixture, you just make a lot more of it, and you can make garlic knots with it. But yeah, now I'll show you. Alright, so this is some dough that we made earlier in the day. So it's been sitting in the fridge for probably 8 hours or so. So yeah, you want to just put some flour on it, pack it down. Same thing on the other side. Just start getting the dough pretty thin. Won't break break out the rolling pin. And you're going to want to get it. You stop. And you're going to want to get it. We're starting over again. Basically, you just want to get your dough pretty thin, and you want it the size of your pan. So we're using that pan over there. So we just want to get it somewhat of that size and shape. So we just keep rolling it out. This was cold right out of the refrigerator, so it's a little harder to work with. But yeah, I think I've got it to where I want it now. So the next step is to get your pan preset at 450. You take your mixture that you made, your olive oil and garlic and all that, and you just dump it in your pan. If you've made more, don't use as much, but I know this is roughly the amount for one pie. You don't have to use as much either. You can go lighter with it, but I really like it. So you just coat your pan with it, spread it out as best you can. Get the sides.
There's this section missing. Yeah.
There you go.
Like right here. Yeah.
Good. All right. So after that, you take your dough, and this is still a little small. It's cold, so it shrunk up a little bit. But it should be okay. You lay it in your pan, and you basically just stretch it out. Sometimes I'll kind of put it over the corner like that, just so it stretches out for a second. And then you can kind of move it a little more, and then get those corners, and by the time you come back to them, they'll fit perfectly in there. Little trick there. See that?
That is a good trick.
So, at this point you want to get your cheese. So this is just mozzarella. And you don't want to go so heavy like a regular pizza. Go a little lighter on the cheese. Just get it nice and even. So really, if you want a lot of cheese on it, go for it. But this is just my preference and what I've noticed what people like. Okay, so you get it about right there. You take your sauce mixture that we made earlier, give it a good mix again, so that oil gets mixed in. And you just take a decent dollop, and basically envision how many slices are going to be on this. We're going to have 3 across this way and probably 4 across this way. And you're going to put a dollop right in the center of each one. Just use up all that sauce. It's really good. You want it on there later. The better, the more sauce, just the better. So
Yes and no. You don't want it covering the entire.
but you definitely want to get that all on there. And then basically, well, if you want, you throw some Parmesan cheese on top. I don't know if I'm sure we do have some, but you just throw it in there, top rack on the oven, 450. Basically, check it after I don't know, 5-6 minutes and see how it's doing. You'll know when it's done. So this is 9 minutes later. I've actually moved the pizza from the top rack to the bottom rack now. So if you keep the oven at the same temperature, you'll see that the elements heat up on the bottom. It's almost like broiling it from the bottom. So when it's ready at the top, it's nice and brown and golden. I take it, throw it on the bottom rack, prop open the door, and then the bottom will cook a little bit more to make it nice and crispy. That's another nice little trick that you can do. And to gauge how done the bottom is, you just take a spatula and just pull up the bottom of the pie and just see how brown it is, and then you'll know when to pull it out. But I'm probably going to give this just 1 to 2 minutes while it cooks from the bottom up. So it's been 2 minutes, and it is done. Like I said earlier, you can kind of check the bottom. You can see it's got that nice dark brown color to it. It's basically like a garlic bread, like a crunchy garlic bread under there. So you take your pie. Just transfer it over to a cutting board.
Morel.
Oh, she knows. She knows what this is. And yeah, when you go to cut it, you get a nice crispy bottom. So you know you got your 4 slices going this way, 3 this way. You just cut in between the sauce. That's how you make a grandma's pie.